Hey, welcome to the unbelievable set of LA 36. I'm your host, Steve Calhoun of the Armed and Dangerous podcast, coming to you again with another exciting guest. I can't wait to introduce him and we get into the story of how we met and all the unbelievable accomplishments he has done throughout his years of acting. You hear that? Acting. I have an actor, not a football player, but an actor. So let me welcome to the set right now my good friend, Josh Pence. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Good deal.
Hey, it's a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So you guys might go, okay, hey, it looks a little bit familiar. Okay. He was the quarterback, okay, Bo Wallace in the movie Draft Day with Kevin.
Callahan.
Bo Callahan.
Yep.
There you go.
Sorry.
I'm just making sure you're on your toes. Bo Callahan. That's right. He was Bo Callahan, the quarterback in the movie of Draft Day with Kevin Costner and Jennifer Garner and Puff Daddy.
That's right.
Okay.
Guilty.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, so some people who might not know who Jennifer Garner is, like I have my Capital One.
Yeah,
I have my Capital One.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer. Hey, Capital One, can I get a little bit of sponsorship?
Shout out Capital One.
Yeah, Capital One. Good deal. All right. Well, Josh.
Oh, man.
How long have you been acting?
I have been acting since 2004, 2005. So whatever that math is, 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, since my senior year of college, I did my first play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. And so where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Santa Monica, California.
Okay. There
In
you
fact,
go.
not far from here.
Okay. So tell my audience, what got you into acting?
Well, I was actually living a bit of a different life in college. I was studying economics. I have a degree in economics,
Okay.
strangely enough.
Okay.
And I was a collegiate rower.
Okay.
I injured my lower back,
Wow.
herniated a disc in my back. And I had rowed for 4 years in high school as well. I was recruited to row.
Okay.
And at that point, I did not know really what I was doing with my life.
Okay.
I had this plan, and all of a sudden it changed drastically.
There you go.
I was depressed. I was confused about
Okay.
where I was supposed to be.
Sure.
And suddenly I went from being a student athlete to a student that was trying to figure out what I was doing with my life. And
Okay.
I saw a production of A Long Day's Journey into Night, which is a Eugene O'Neill play on Broadway,
Okay.
my junior summer before going into senior year. And for anybody that knows that play, it's a a bit of a storm of family drama. And the late Philip Seymour Hoffman was in this play.
Okay.
And I just was transformed. I remember walking out of that play down, the street in 8th Ave in New York and just thinking all of a sudden everything looked different.
Wow.
And so I went back my senior year of college and I just took every film class, every acting class that I could talk my way into
Okay.
because I didn't have prerequisites at that point. And so when I graduated college, I decided I'm going to pursue this full time. So I moved back to Los Angeles briefly and then moved to New York and studied acting in New York for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
And I knew, like with anything that's worth doing, I needed time to mature and grow and study the craft.
Okay.
And take time to really understand what I was doing. I don't even know if I know what I'm doing now, but I feel like I'm a little bit closer
You're pretty damn.
to knowing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, I have my notes here. So I don't want to miss anything. So you played in some unbelievable movies like The Algerian. If you have not seen it, that's a great one.
No.
Social Network.
Yeah.
Gangster Squad. Ryan Gosling, Sean Penn, Josh Brolin,
Yeah.
Michael
Nick
Pena.
Nolte.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Pena. That's a crazy cast.
Crazy cast.
Very
So
Latinos.
let's just talk a little bit. I'm gonna just briefly talk about each movie. So like
Yeah.
The Social Network, okay,
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg story and
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah.
So I mean that was a Facebook movie or kind of the start of how I got started. Talk to me just a little bit about that. And are you on Facebook now? Do you follow it since you were kind of
You know what? Funny enough, I actually am on Facebook. I don't use it a ton, but I like to have it just to connect with people, especially people from high school and family. I have a lot of relatives in the state of Maine.
Okay.
And so there's just people I don't get to see a lot that it's fun to message with.
Okay.
That was the first big project that I'd been a part of.
Okay.
And it's funny because I have a very unusual role in that film, which is that I play one of two identical twins.
Wow.
They're known as the Winklevoss twins.
That's right.
Or the Winklevi, if you've seen the Social Network. And they were rowers who went to Harvard that, strangely enough, little factoid, I rowed against in college.
Wow.
They swept the floor with us because they were on the Harvard squad that had, I think, like 16 recruits. And I rowed for Dartmouth College, and there were 3 of us as recruits. And we were rowing up on the Connecticut River, which was frozen over for 6 months of the year. So anyway, I had this bizarre connection, but I played one of the 2 of them. But because they were identical twins, the director, David Fincher, wanted them to be the face to be one actor.
Wow.
So Armie Hammer and I played those characters together. I developed one character, he developed the other. But at the very end of filming, which took place from October to June of 2009 to 2010, they replaced my face with Armie's face. They basically think of like a hockey mask. They cut my face out digitally, put his face over me, and in the end of the movie, you see 2 people that look identical.
Wow.
But I obviously had the advantage of being an oarsman and could bring some authenticity to that. So that was an extraordinary movie to be a part of because I think it's a time capsule.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really do. That's, I think, one of the greatest things that I've ever been a part of that I was, in a strange way, don't seem to be a part of because movie magic is so good.
Absolutely.
But I'm really, really proud to have been a part of that film because it does capture such a unique moment in time that has affected
it is huge.
all of us.
It's huge right now.
Yeah. It's the beginning of a whole different chapter for our species, society.
Absolutely. Well, hey, one of the main films I want to talk to you about is Draft Day.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you my background of it. So one of my good friends who's an agent at Athletes First, a shout out to Athletes First, Carmen Wallace. Hey, he gives me a call and he said, hey, Summit Entertainment gave me a call, some movie company, hey, and they want you to train this actor for this upcoming film, this football film. And I'm like, okay, good deal. All right, I'm going to give you his agent's number. You guys going to connect. And I'm like, all right, good deal. So how was it on your end? How many times did you audition for the movie? There you go, Bo Callahan. So how many times did you audition for the movie? Did you audition just for Bo or one other?
I only auditioned for Bo. I auditioned, I think, 4 times. Probably took place over the course of a week and a half to 2 weeks.
Okay.
Might have been 3 times. And shout out to John Papsadera, who was the casting director for that film.
Okay.
Almost like a scout, you know. And he really believed in me. He really kept putting me in front of the team and the director and said, I think I weighed about 180 to 185 pounds.
Okay.
That's sort of my general fighting weight.
Okay.
And I think that the director, the late, great Ivan Reitman, who did Ghostbusters, so many incredible movies.
Yeah.
He really had this image in mind that was sort of a Tim Tebow archetype.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, Tim Tebow is like 245.
Oh, yeah.
So
put together.
And I had, I think, 3.5 weeks to create and inhabit this character. So there was some concern there, but finally I won him over.
Okay.
And yeah, it wasn't very long after that I got a call to meet you.
Absolutely.
And start creating this character.
Absolutely. So we decided to meet at Loyola Marymount, or a park right there, Loyola Marymount.
Park in Playa del Rey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get there and I'm like, okay, I got all my equipment out. And then the first thing I asked him, I'm like, hey, have you ever played quarterback before? He's like, no.
Not even close.
Baseball and soccer. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
This baseball, soccer, tennis.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a change.
You're like, oh, no. And here I am.
There it is right there. This is great.
This goes to show you, folks, what movie magic can overcome. That is not a football player at all.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it was so hard for me to. There I am looking at I was like, that, like, right, I got to look. Yeah, I mean, look at the feet, the footwork. And I'm so, footwork I can understand as a tennis player, right, as a soccer player. What was really hard for me was differentiating that stuff. Look at that spiral. How you even caught that, by the way, props to you. I just, to differentiate that from a baseball.
Correct.
throw was just still to this day. Even if we went out there and threw a football, you'd be like, remembered nothing.
Perfect.
Because it's so ingrained in me. So that was really one of the hardest parts. It was just, differentiating that and just getting down some of the little footwork, the 3-step drill, the 5-step drill, 5-step drop.
Yeah.
I knew none of that.
Yeah.
My mom did not let me play football. As much as I begged, she's like, no. So, I had played football on the street as a kid, and I loved playing wide receiver. I wanted to run as fast as I could and catch that bomb.
Nice.
So this was obviously the beginning.
Yeah. This was awesome.
And the end.
Yeah. We, I was talking to you about, the mannerisms of the quarterback and how do you have to call out the mic protection and all those things. So, we had the opportunity to work, just 3 times.
Yeah.
Before you had to go off and, make that part of your character.
That's right. I was like, the mic? Is the mic? I mean, it's not even really that much of an exaggeration. We had 3 days together.
Exactly.
For maybe 2 hours each day.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the rest of the time, when you're a little lower down in the pecking order on a film, you don't get necessarily the support that maybe people would associate with somebody in a movie in a role like this.
Correct.
So they provided me with you, which was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of training physically, which was such a huge part of it, I was on my own. So, I kind of went on the Michael Phelps diet, minus any cardio.
Wow.
Because my goal really was to gain as much weight as possible to fill out, so that I had an arm that looked like maybe God, help me, the arm of a quarterback. And that was it. That was a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 3 weeks to just bulk up, and I ate my way through that paycheck.
Wow.
I kid you not, man.
Wow.
There was very little left over. Because it was all about 10,000, 12,000 calories a day.
Good night.
Which is really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
In the scheme of things, let's be real. It's
Correct.
not, but that was my undertaking in a lot of ways, was just the bulk.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about, after our first training, how'd you feel after, and did you have a different perspective on quarterbacks?
Yeah. I mean, you really helped me understand just getting in the head and the mindset of a quarterback just a smidge.
Okay.
How many decisions you're making, how many things that you are aware of. One of the things that I was just kind of working on for those little parts was just where my eyes are.
Correct.
And all the things that you're clocking and taking in. It's like watching, Monday Night Football last night and seeing Eli and Peyton, and I remember I was just watching Peyton and seeing the way he's just scanning everything.
Absolutely.
You are so aware of everything, and you're executing so many decisions. And so also what I took away from that first meeting is how can I bring that into the scenes that aren't on the football field?
Mm-hmm.
How does he handle when things don't go his way? How do you handle when you have the camera on you at the draft?
Yes.
And your numbers starting to drop.
Correct.
And are you cool under pressure?
Right.
And all these other things, because that's the drama. My job is to interpret those scenes and bring them to life and try and make this a real person. So you've helped me begin to tap into that.
Yeah, definitely. I think besides the movie Draft Day, the other movie, the football movie that I think that just really kind of encapsulates football is Jerry Maguire.
Yeah.
Jerry Maguire and then the movie Draft Day is like the two up there. So I'm not sure. Do you watch the draft now? Because it has become an unbelievable spectacle. So for last year in Detroit, over a 3-day period, they had over 700,000 people come through there and watch the draft. You know what I mean? So so now they're moving it from city to city to city instead of just being in New York. So I think your movie, Draft Day, is kind of like kicked that off. It really brought awareness to like the behind the scenes and the ups and the downs of what players go through. So in the movie, Puff Daddy was your agent.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really cool.
The super agent.
Yeah.
Chris Crawford.
There
That's
you go.
The character's name.
There we go. So one of the scenes I want to talk about is your stock starts to fall.
Yeah.
Right? You're supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. The stock starts to fall. You get upset and you walk out.
Yeah.
I've had some similar experiences, with my son going through the draft.
Wow.
Where he's projected to get picked in the 4th round and then he's undrafted. That's the low of it. And then the high of it is, Jordan Love, who was picked in the 1st round. So just the ups and downs. So just talk about, the character part, or when you were playing that character, just talk about the ups and downs and those emotions that you had to go through and put on film.
I mean, those scenes are so much fun to play because that's where the drama is. Mm-hmm. And I will say part of what was incredible was that we were filming backstage during the draft.
Oh.
So the 1st round was over.
Okay.
And I think we were shooting earlier in the day before the later rounds were starting.
Okay.
So the clock was ticking. It was a lot of pressure. And so, I remember there was several moments where the pot boiled over.
Oh, wow.
Because little things were happening. Sean and I were trying to just improv a little bit because there was so much tension. And that was the beginning of filming the movie.
Okay.
Those were the very first days. So maybe like a team in a season, it's a new team. It's the beginning of the season.
Right.
There's no rhythm yet.
Right.
And you're backstage at the draft, So we were trying to do little things. I remember for one scene, I think the scene where Bo gets the call from Sonny Weaver,
okay,
which is Kevin Costner's character.
Mm-hmm.
And Bo and Chris Crawford, myself and Sean Combs are sitting there at the table together. And, we just tried to find some energy so that when the camera starts rolling, there's a life that's being lived. And I did a little improv kind of with him, just a moment, and it really worked. And the director loved it.
Okay.
And then we did it again the next take, and I said something that made Sean laugh, and the director did not like that. And so those are the moments that are really fun, but also they're exciting, but they're also nerve-wracking. Yeah. And that scene, it was how do you portray somebody that is meant to be able to execute under pressure,
sure,
but everything is suddenly out of control, and he's a fish out of water. I mean, I would imagine that was you train all these years as a football player, but you're not training for the draft day.
Correct.
That's kind of the moment where everything is like, you're totally out of your element.
Exactly. It's out of your control.
And one other thing that was really fun about those first few days of filming was there's a scene in the movie where you see Bo get to the red carpet, and you got to see Arian Foster come out of the limo to the red carpet, and a couple other guys who had, played football. That was all. So that was great. That was all improv. There were no lines there. We got there. The carpet was set up. All the fans are real fans. Okay. None of those fans knew what was going on. So all this
guy.
Yeah, I step out of the limo and the reporter's standing there, and she's like, and now announcing I can't remember if you can hear this in the film or not, but she's saying this as we're filming it. The 2013 Heisman Trophy winner from the Wisconsin Badgers, Bo Callahan. And everybody's like, yeah. What? Wait, who is that? Okay, did I miss something? That's not who it was. Oh my God. So, and then, and what the director had said to me beforehand was, okay, you're going to walk out of the limo, you're going to walk over and talk to the reporter, who I believe was an actual ESPN reporter.
Absolutely.
And then you're going to go out into the crowd to the fans, and you're going to sign autographs, and we're going to keep rolling the whole time. We get one take of this, and that's it. And we're going to have cameras here, and here, hitting all these different angles. Yep. And then you're going to kind of walk the carpet, and you'll go off to the side. So, I do it, and I to this interview. Again, there's no rehearsal or anything to this. And then I'm going over signing autographs. And I just remember I felt so bad because people are giving me jerseys, and they're giving me, this is all fake. None of this is real. I think I actually whispered to one person, I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm an actor.
And were you signing Bo Callahan?
I think I tried to sign the Bo Callahan autograph, and maybe that morning I thought, oh God, I need to know his autograph.
Yeah.
But that was just a sort of funny behind the scenes moment.
Absolutely. Hey, you mentioned Arian Foster, and you before we started filming, you mentioned that you had a moment with him, or where he shared a story with you. If you can share that.
Yeah, I hope, I don't think he would mind me sharing this, but it was just a beautiful story that he shared with me. Arian did not get drafted.
Correct.
And I didn't know much about his story at all, and so we just sort of connected off camera because he kind of marches to the beat of his own drum, even as a football player, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And he was just a really interesting guy. He was very quiet and focused, and I remember we talked about meditation, and just some of the mental aspects of preparing for anything in life.
Okay.
And he shared with me a story about being 5 years old, coming back from kindergarten. And that day it had been, the teacher had said, hey, what do you guys want to be when you grow up? And he raised his hand and he said, I'm going to be a running back in the NFL.
Wow.
And he was a smaller kid in his class. And she kind of laughed and just said, okay, but what are you really going to be?
Okay.
And he was pretty bummed to hear that, I'm sure, as most people would be. And he said that he went home and he said to his mom, he said, one day I'm going to be a running back in the NFL, and I'm going to send you the biggest fruit basket to your work that you've ever seen. Because that's where his imagination as a 5-year-old. And he said that he went through being, I think, on the practice squad, maybe,
right. Yeah.
the Texans.
Yep.
And having to fight his way in. And then he did, and the rest is history. Everybody knows how incredible he was. And he said the day that he got that big contract, he sent to his mother a fruit basket that was custom made, and it was bigger than her entire cubicle.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's an awesome story.
And that's what it takes, in any work or walk of life. It's just believing in yourself when people think, okay, that's not realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just talking about a little bit of the theme of the movie of how one person, maybe one scout, one team can put out there that you're not as good as that everyone thinks you are. And we had a former guest on my show, Cody Fajardo. He played at University of Nevada. He came after Colin Kaepernick, and he was talking about, he went to the combine and ran the 40, threw the ball great, and they did an X-ray, and he had like a Jones fracture in his foot, but he still participated and did all the stuff. Wow. And there was this one team doctor from, I can't think of what team, that just put it out there in the universe like, hey, he has his Jones fracture, and he didn't get drafted. So that's kind of like the same thing that you kind of went through. Just one team say, hey, put a little doubt in the other 31 teams ahead, and they're like, Sonny Weaver, do you want this kid? So, that we had some real life adversity that Cody Fajardo actually went through when I was talking about your character and what your character Bo Wallace went through. Callahan.
I can only imagine that pressure, truly, that you're live and it's the biggest day in sports.
Yes.
And all of this hype for months.
Yeah.
And not only is your paycheck dwindling,
exactly,
but your ego and everything that you've worked for decades to get to that point, I don't think there's anything like it. It's almost like, imagine the presidential race was being filmed live.
Right.
Right. And they're watching the count come in, and, there's just nothing else like that, which makes it such an exciting moment in terms of the script and storytelling. And I just have to shout out Scott Rothman and Rajiv Joseph, who wrote that screenplay together, because they made it entertaining. They made it fun, and they made it something that was accessible to people that maybe don't know a whole lot about the draft and what people go through in that moment. We get to see everything else, but that moment is really, really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So since you made that movie, do you follow the draft since that movie came out and it was so popular?
I do a little bit. I want to follow it more, and because I would love to come back in and sit down with you. I was telling you earlier, I'm going to wear my Callahan jersey. And you were sharing with me that it's moving around from city to city now, which I think is just so beautiful because it's all the, fringe benefits of that for people from city to city,
Sure.
the economies and all the local people that get to take part in that.
Absolutely.
It is one of those movies that it's such a blessing to be a part of because, the people that will say something to me about that movie just love the movie.
Yeah.
And it comes up every year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a gift that gives back to me.
Right.
Because as an actor, sometimes you're working, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you feel good about the work you're doing, sometimes you don't. And so when those little moments come back and a fan says in an airport, man, I love that movie, or, why didn't everybody come to your birthday party, Bo? That kind of thing. I get something back from that. And it really was just an extraordinary thing to be a part of. And the cast was so incredible.
Yes, definitely.
And, just a shout out to the late and great, oh my gosh, sorry, my brain right now, Chadwick Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go back on that.
Yeah. Wow. That's right. We
got to give a shout out to Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Because he was such an extraordinary talent and such a giving person just behind the scenes. The little bit of interaction that I had with him,
mm-hmm.
he was so focused on the work, but he didn't wear it on his sleeve.
Okay.
He was really, really humble and quiet about it. And he was a writer. He was a director.
Wow.
He was, a very, very rare person that I have come across maybe one or two of in my whole career.
Okay.
Like Denzel Washington, just this person where this is a force.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see Denzel on stage in Iceman Comet. When he came out, you could hear a pin drop.
Wow.
And you see it in every performance that he has. And Chadwick had those multiple talents and that kind of commitment and energy. I remember actually he had this cell phone case that were brass knuckled. And I thought that was his cell phone case because he just had it all the time,
uh-huh.
So he wasn't doing this kind of method thing that was very boisterous or loud, or it was just really quiet. And then I realized when I saw the movie, and he was an amazing, amazing person. So yeah,
that actually leads to my next question. You've been acting now for over a decade. So who was the best actor you've been around? Like, you know what I mean? You've been around a lot. Somebody who you said like you talking about Denzel and the way he commands the room and just like, wow. You can name a couple.
Yeah, the first person that comes to my mind is Nick Nolte.
Wow.
I worked with Nick Nolte on Gangster Squad,
mm-hmm.
and I played became the chief of police, Daryl Gates, who was the driver to William Parker, who was the chief of police during that period, I think the 40s. And Nick, so I kind of, on and off camera almost felt like I was playing an assistant to him.
Okay.
And he was one of those people that everybody wanted to see what was he going to do.
Okay.
And, when the cameras were rolling, it's like, again, one of those you could hear a pin drop moments.
Okay.
Because he's just had such a long, illustrious career, and he's so private and sort of mysterious.
Yeah.
And at the time, he's getting up there in age a bit, and, needed help kind of getting around a little bit in certain ways. And then, man, when that camera would start rolling, he gave every ounce to the point where they call cut, and it was almost like he was gonna collapse or something, not actually, but he just gave
all the energy,
everything. And he keeps you on your toes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he taught me that as an actor, 60% of your job is off camera. 40% of it is what we see on screen.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's a great football analogy for that, but it's what you're giving to the person who's out there doing the work.
Wow.
Because they have to have something to react off of. A lot of times when you're filming a scene, the camera's on you right now, and I'm behind the camera reading those lines with you, and then it switches. And if you're caught like a deer in headlights because you've done the scene so many times, it's on me to give you something more. And so I'll never ever forget that. And I that actually, I think as an athlete, my proudest moment was at 3 years old. I was thinking about this driving in today. I don't know why, but playing church baseball.
Okay.
And the biggest trophy that they gave out was the best sportsman trophy. So it wasn't the best player,
right?
But it was like, can you help everybody get to the finish line? And that was something that I think I learned from Nick Nolte, is just be a giving actor.
Absolutely.
Be a team player.
There you go.
Like maybe on a football field, there's 150, 200, 250 people on a movie set.
Wow.
So there's just this massive coordination of things that's got to go on just to get that little moment on camera right.
Yeah.
And, you might be on camera and think you're the star for a moment, but no.
There's a lot of people behind the scenes making it happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good deal. My last question is, what does Josh Pence have coming up? What has he got going on right now? Let me know what's going on, bud.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I just finished a show in February this year called Good Trouble.
Okay.
I was on for almost 6 years.
Okay. Yep.
And I would love for people to watch that show. I think it's a beautiful show that I'm really proud of. And right now I'm just looking for the next job.
Okay.
I've been writing. There's a couple of scripts that I've been working on for some years now, and I'm trying to wrap up and get out into the world. But that's a whole process.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot of people, saying yes to you.
Sure.
And so I'm looking for my next job. I'm making a little bit of music with a friend of mine. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Matt Silverman is an amazing jazz musician, and we grew up together. I've known him since I was 4 years old.
Wow.
And he kind of called me up out of the blue because I sing, and I get to sing on Good Trouble, the show I mentioned.
Okay.
And so we're kind of making some stuff together. It's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Good deal. Hey, well, I cannot thank you enough, man, for coming in, coming into the set and being on my podcast. I haven't seen you since 2014. Yeah. You know what I mean? But we stayed in touch every time, I've texted you just kind of randomly like, hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
You always hit me back like, oh, Steve, what's up?
Yeah.
But I mean, every time I've watched that movie, Drafted so many times, I always think about you and I'm like, man, I have a pretty cool relationship.
That really
cool story to tell.
That really moves me. It is really one of the best projects, truly, that I've been a part of, and it was short-lived for me filming it. You're kind of in and out, but it does keep giving back, and it's been such a pleasure to know you, and to do this has just lifted my spirits.
That's awesome, man.
That's
awesome.
And if you'll have me back,
of course,
we'll do a little draft day.
We'll definitely a draft day wrap-up show. It kind of bring it full circle.
Yeah,
definitely.
I can't promise you I'll bring any hot takes or great behind-the-scenes information. I'm gonna leave that to you.
I can do that, but I can provide you with all that.
Yes. And I'll wear my Bo jersey.
That's it. Bo Callahan.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Josh Pence, Bo Callahan, Draft Day. It's been awesome to have you on. Good deal. Hey, hope you guys enjoyed the show. It's been unbelievable to kind of catch up after all these years with Josh, and our friendship is going to continue to go forward. And
absolutely,
I'm going to make sure I provide him a little bit more information about what's going on and with the draft and quarterbacks and all that stuff. But hey, if you want more exciting content, of the show, you can follow me on all my social media platforms. Instagram is Armed Dangerous. X is Armed Danger QBS, and also on TikTok is Armed and Dangerous Podcast. So hey, thank you again for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next week on another exciting show.